Hello, and welcome to Truth Talk, the podcast where we embark on a journey of discovery and transformation of mind, body, and spirit together. I'm Lenzy, your certified hypnotist and certified hypnosis instructor, certified neurofeedback practitioner, rapid resolution practitioner, NLP practitioner, a graduate of some of the most prestigious hypnosis training institutions in the United States, and one of the only and the first state-licensed hypnosis training school, the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy in Florida. Trained by some of the most incredible and phenomenal hypnotists the world has ever seen since Milton H. Erickson. I'll not bore you by listing all of their names because that's not why you tuned in today. If you've recently visited www.truthtalk.com, you may notice that the website has dramatically and drastically changed in light of some incredible developments. Now, please find yourself a comfortable, safe location, sit back, or lie down, take in a deep and slow breath, and as you exhale, allow your eyes to gently close. Imagine the lights are dim. You're in an auditorium, and a single chair sits center stage. And you see me enter slowly, greeting you with my warmest smile, inviting everyone in the room to lean in. Imagine for a moment you're standing at the threshold of two worlds. Behind you, the quiet hush of a grand graduation hall. Diplomas in hand, applause still echoing in marble corridors. Ahead, an open road, each mile marker bearing your name and your title, clinical hypnotherapist. Feel the pride rising in your chest, the certainty that every technique you've mastered, every one of the 1,000 hours you've logged belongs to you, unmistakably yours. You pause, letting the room settle into that moment after your name is read. Now, picture crossing an invisible line in the sand. No storm, no fanfare, yet your title shifts. Certified Hypnotist. The words hang in the air like an old ledger tax, reminding you that names can be taxed, borders can be drawn, and expertise can be reduced by inked decrees. You might sense a quiet ache in your heart. Surely my knowledge, my care cannot be clipped so easily. But still, you lean forward. And you remember, in days gone by, Jim Crow laws and poll taxes wielded injustice like a hammer, denying citizens their right to vote, their voice. Today, we face a subtler echo, a patchwork of state statutes that dictates what we may call ourselves. And so here we stand, consummate professionals, eager to honor both our rigorous training and the laws of the land, to pay Caesar what is his, while claiming in every fiber our true title remains unshaken. You see smiles and eyes bright. Now, over the next moments, we'll journey together, mapping that patchwork, weaving our stories, and forging a path toward uniform recognition. As you listen, you'll discover how each word, each strategy, will plant the seeds of clarity, unity, and respect, so that no matter which state line you cross, your rightful title follows you, untaxed by politics, honored by every door you open. Take in a deep and slow breath as you feel the anticipation ripple throughout the entire room in which you are imagining yourself seated in. Now, imagine a brilliant scholar, freshly graduated, diploma in hand, mind alive with every nuance of hypnotherapy. You can almost hear the applause echoing in ancient amphitheaters where orators stood unchallenged. Yet, as you move across invisible lines on a map, you discover something curious. That same diploma, that same mastery suddenly reads differently. In one state, you're a clinical hypnotherapist, certified. In another, just a certified hypnotist. Like a butterfly whose wings are clipped by a nameless decree, your title shifts, though your knowledge, compassion, and skill remain unchanged. Now, pause. Let that sink in. You feel a ripple through your chest. Surely, my practice, my very essence, shouldn't hinge on a licensing board's whim. Yet here you are, paying fees, filling out forms, telling Caesar, here's what you ask of me, while holding your true title in the sanctuary of your heart. There once was a healer in a small town, trained by the finest schools, top of every class. She carried her certificate like a treasure map, eager to unlock doors. But when she crossed from one county line to the next, she had to wear a different name tag, sign a different oath. She thought of Jim Crow era poll taxes, where citizens paid just to vote. Each coin slipped into the clerk's hand felt like a silencing, a reminder that power sometimes lies in inked regulations. Yet, she did not despair. She learned to weave her truth through each title. Her heart's title never taxed, never revoked. You too carry that unshakable title within. Now, let us take an educational pivot. Why titles vary? States define clinical hypnotherapists differently. Some reserve it for master's level clinicians. Others, medical doctors. Yet, some overlook the fact that although some people have the license of a licensed mental health counselor or a licensed marriage family therapist as qualifying them to practice hypnosis, untrained, uncertified. Others lump all practitioners under hypnotist, regardless of training. So you find yourself navigating the maze. To do so, you must research your state statutes before opening doors. Join professional associations that lobby for uniform standards. And maintaining your identity on business cards, clarifying footnotes can bridge the gap. Licensed as whatever your state's title is, professionally trained at XYZ Institute. In conversations, lead with your clinical credentials. Allow them to feel your expertise. As you listen to these words, you might notice how naturally solutions bubble up in your own mind. Ideas for brochures, for conversations with regulators, for reminding clients that true expertise can't be stamped away. You're already weaving new strategies, aren't you? Now, picture Caesar in a toga and sandals. Dress code, board meeting. He's stamping licenses. He's waving scrolls. But he has no idea of your depth, your hours of study, the dozens of clients whose lives you've shifted. He's busy collecting his coin. But you're busy changing lives. So your next step is to pay Caesar what is due. Respect his statutes. Protect your practice. Know the rules in every county, every state. Yet remember, the gold standard, title, lives in your mind, your voice, your touch. And as you walk out that door, whether your sign reads Certified Hypnotist or Certified Clinical Hypnotherapist, feel the unwavering confidence of one who's truly educated, one who's truly free. Because no law, no fee, no decree can remove what you carry within. For your own counsel, consider collaborating with peers to draft unified title legislation. Host a webinar sharing your story and solutions. Journal how it feels each time you show your credentials. Notice every flutter of pride and every spark of possibility. Yet render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but hold fast to the clinical hypnotherapist in your heart. Now that you know your inner title is unshakable, let's erect its legal foundation, stone by stone. And I am no lawyer. I don't even practice law. But lately, because a colleague brought it to my attention that because I shifted my practice across a state line, that I must change my title and let the world know. And in doing so, she revealed to me that although she's been practicing hypnosis and the other practicing EMDR, that neither of them, although they hold the title and the license of licensed mental health counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist, neither of them have ever been trained in hypnosis, nor are they certified. But are they qualified? Well, according to their license as a mental health counselor, it says that they can do it for some reason. So notice how the moment you set an intention, ideas float up effortlessly, like pollen drifting downward towards sunlight. You already know what to do. So let's try to name those steps as best we can. Number 1, gather your circle. Ask every certified hypnotist and clinical hypnotherapist you know to join a small working group. Call it the Tiny Unity Task Force, if you will. Hold your first meeting in a welcoming space, a living room, Zoom breakout, a park, wherever. Begin with a ritual. Each person states their training lineage and one client success story. This cements your shared expertise and reminds you why titles matter. As you share these stories, you'll feel your collective resolve deepen, almost like roots sinking into rich soil. Step 2, map the landscape. Divide your state into regions. Assign volunteers to research local regulations. Who defines hypnotherapist? What fees exist? Which board or health department is in charge? Create a simple spreadsheet. Columns for county, fee amount, title permitted, contact person. As you compile facts, you'll see patterns, hidden doorways where change is easiest. Notice how your mind naturally sorts details, connects them, and spots the low-hanging fruit for reform. Step 3. Educate and engage stakeholders. Draft may be a 2-page white paper, if you will, or a policy brief. Explain the disparity, top-tier training versus fragmented titles. Cite real-world impact, client confusion, missed referrals, professional frustration. Invite allied professionals, counselors, social workers, medical boards to review and co-sign. Offer a short lunch and learn at your local health department or legislative aid's office. As you talk through your brief, you'll sense doors gently clicking open in key people's minds. Step 4. Build public momentum. Launch a client-driven petition. Ask past clients to share how your title influenced their trust, and ask their legislators to support uniform recognition. Create a simple web page or social media page. One title, one truth, with video clips of colleagues telling their title transition stories. Schedule Title Awareness Week, free community talks, local radio interviews, guest articles, and neighborhood newsletters. The more you broadcast your message, the more energy it gathers, like wind filling sails. Meet your legislators face to face. Set up appointments with one senator or representative at a time. Bring 2 allies plus 1 client who can speak to the difference your full title makes. But tell a concise story. For example, I graduated top of my class. But when I crossed county line X or state line X, I became just a hypnotist, as my former colleague pointed out. Present your white paper and petition signatures. Ask them to sponsor a bill or amend existing practice acts to standardize clinical hypnotherapists. As you shake hands, feel your competence radiating, making the legislators sit up straighter, listen deeper. Step 6, stay the course. Monthly check-ins may help. Celebrate small wins. A committee hearing scheduled. A co-sponsor sign-on. Share wins with your wider group. Newsletters. Quick Zoom huddles. If a setback comes, a bill stalls, reframe it. Every pause gives us new data, new allies, new strategies. You're patient, persistent, like water that smooths stone over time. Your advocacy carves pathways. As you take in another deep and slow breath, and perhaps lean back just a little to let that settle, consider each of these steps is an invitation, an opening for your professionalism to shine through every title, every state line. As you take that first action, maybe a simple survey of your colleagues, you'll realize it was never really about Caesar's stamp. It was about honoring your own expertise together. Take a moment to smile. You may even want to imagine yourself standing up or stretching where you sit. One concrete first step will make and take before tomorrow's sun rises. Imagine you step into an ornate office. The legislator offers a handshake. You settle into the chair, and your voice is steady, and of course your tone is respectful. You open with your shared values, and perhaps you may consider saying thank you, Senator Jones, for your tireless work on small business growth and consumer protection. Like you, I believe Floridians deserve clarity when they seek professional care. And our state thrives when citizens know exactly who they're inviting into their lives. As you name their priorities, you'll feel genuine rapport bloom. Your ally already leaning in. Some of you may wish to tell your constituent story. Perhaps you may want to explain that last month, Mrs. Alvarez called my hypnosis office in Pensacola. She'd driven nearly an hour expecting a licensed mental health professional. But under another county's rules, my title read Certified Hypnotist, and she hesitated. Her anxiety spiked. Trust faltered. Only when I showed my full credentials, hours of graduate level training, did she relax and begin healing. And then you may notice how the senator's brow softens, picturing a worried neighbor in need of clear assurance. Problems should be framed simply, such as, right now, Florida's law creates a patchwork of titles. Clinical hypnotherapist here, certified hypnotist there. It's confusing for constituents, onerous for practitioners, and it risks patient safety when clients can't distinguish training levels. You may want to offer the solution precisely. We've drafted a concise amendment to the Practice Act. Standardized clinical hypnotherapists for anyone holding a master's level or equivalent credential. Permit hypnotists only for brief non-clinical demonstrations. Create a low-cost registry so enforcement is simple and transparent. Because as you lay out each bullet point, the solution crystallizes in their mind. Concise, cost-effective, constituent-friendly. Emphasize the benefits to your legislature. This change protects consumers. No more guesswork. Empowers licensed professionals to expand their practices. It boosts small business tax revenue. Requires zero new spending. Our registry fee funds oversight. You may wish to close with your own personal ask. Senator, will you co-sponsor this amendment? With your leadership, we can pass clear language in this session and guarantee every Floridian the confidence they deserve when seeking clinical hypnotherapy or hypnotherapy or hypnosis. As you pronounce with your leadership, you'll feel the shift, the power of co-creation settling into the conversation. You may want to leave behind a one-pager. And if you decide to do so, then hand over a crisp 2-page fact sheet. One side with bullet point benefits, the other with signatures of local therapists and a client testimonial. This handout speaks for you in every committee. Concise, compelling, and credible. You rise, shake hands again, and as you step out into the corridor, breathe in that exhilaration. One conversation closer to unifying titles. One step closer to rendering unto Caesar what is his, while preserving your own professional truth. But before you leave, text your task force. Legislator meeting complete. Tone positive. Next step, committee hearing. Feel the momentum, like sunlight shifting through clouds, guiding you toward victory. Imagine you're called back in for another meeting, and you want to build your immediate rapport and align with appropriate legislative priorities. Senator XYZ, like you, I'm dedicated to consumer protection and to a thriving small business climate. You maintain eye contact, and perhaps you both offer a slight nod. Consumer protection. Pause, so you can really, truly both allow it to sink in. Define the paradox. Reveal the core tension. Top-tier training versus shifting titles. Perhaps if it were me and I were invited to come in to speak, maybe I would say something like, although I graduated top of my class from the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy or the American Hypnosis Training Academy, or Boston Neurodynamics, crossing a county line can strip me of my clinical hypnotherapist title, reducing me to the term of certified hypnotist, which is equivalent to some people who have only taken a 60-hour weekend training course on a Friday and Saturday. Strips me? Strips me? And then you certainly must illustrate the real-world impact of this and personalize the confusion with a vivid constituent story, such as Miss Alvarez last week, who drove the 45 minutes expecting a fully licensed clinician, seeing Hypnotist on the door, and hesitated, her anxiety spiking, delaying her care. Regardless of what state you're in, fragmented statutes create professional and consumer harm. Some state laws currently follows 50 different interpretations of hypnotherapy titles. County health boards set their own rules. That inconsistency costs us certified hypnotists trust and clarity. It's like musical chairs with professional credentials. So imagine my surprise when all of this was brought to my attention and I realized that 2 to 3 persons working in my office were practicing hypnosis, calling themselves certified clinical hypnotherapists, just because they had the title of licensed mental health counselor and they had never been trained in hypnosis. They only knew one particular modality or technique created by a social worker. I find that personally insulting and demeaning to the legacy and lineage of those of us who were trained in prestigious institutes like the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy or the American Hypnosis Training Academy, founded in 1978, or members of the National Guild of Hypnotists, founded in 1950 by the late Dr. Dwight Damon, who just recently passed. Or like my life partner, my wife, who was a certified clinical hypnotherapist, licensed mental health counselor, and a diplomat of hypnosis, who passed away sadly and unexpectedly December 24th of 2024, which is why I'm here speaking today. Some people may say we propose adding 3 simple lines to the Practice Act. Clinical hypnotherapists reserved for people who have achieved 500 hours level of training credentials. Hypnotists limited to entertainment or demonstration, and a modest registry fee to fund transparent oversight. And then hand them a crisp one-pager. Point out each bullet with a deliberate finger tap. By taking a moment to highlight mutual benefits, you can emphasize the wins for constituents, practitioners, and the state budget. This change empowers consumers to choose with confidence, bolsters small business growth, more clinics, more tax revenue, costs the state nothing. Registry fees cover administration. And as you lean back and smile, hopefully, your legislator will nod in agreement. again imagine yourself asking clearly, transitioning from information sharing to commitment. You may imagine yourself saying, "Senator, will you lend your leadership as a co-sponsor? With your support, we can pass this in the upcoming session and guarantee every Floridian or Texan or Californian or whatever state you're in clarity in their care." Extend your hand over the table, inviting partnership. You may even imagine pausing, gazing warmly at one another, and letting the question hang. Make sure you always leave a lasting impression, and a good one. You may imagine yourself saying, "After our meeting, I'll follow up with your office to schedule the committee hearing. And may I invite you to tour my Pensacola clinic or my Gig Harbor clinic or perhaps my Winchester, Massachusetts clinic, or even the Destin clinic." Seeing our work firsthand often cements the need for this change. And you may even imagine yourself sliding your business card or clinic invite across the table. And as you see yourself standing, taking in a deep and slow breath, you offer perhaps your final handshake, firm, confident, and grateful. As you speak, imagine each word planting a seed in fertile soil. And watch those seeds sprout into understanding, commitment, and action, maintaining the crispness and compellingness impossible to dismiss, transforming meeting into legislative momentum. Never forget your empathy, because in your mind, you may be thinking, "I know you've spent long days in committee hearings. Your steady focus reminds me of the concentration we teach our trainees when they guide someone into trance." And as you consider this amendment, hopefully you'll find yourself eager to co-sponsor, ready to guide Florida toward uniform clarity, or whichever state your representative or legislator is in. Picture Miss Alvarez stepping onto my clinic's terrazzo floor, her heart pounding like a drum, only to pause at the door that read, "Hypnotist." Feel her relief wash over her when she learned of my level of credentials, far exceeding a master's. Imagine 6 months from now, every therapist in Pensacola posting clinical hypnotherapists on their door, with clients and patients calling confidently, bills paid on time, and Florida has the gold standard for professional clarity. Without this change, clients and patients will keep hesitating, referrals slipping through their fingers. But with clear titles, appointments fill. Clinics, practices expand, and your state's reputation shines. And then maybe you can hand over another one-pager that shows logos from leading institutes or quotes from respected boards. And just perhaps you could say, here's a joint letter from the American Board of Clinical Hypnotherapy or the International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists or the American Council of Hypnotist Examiners or perhaps even the International Medical and Dental Hypnotist Association or the National Guild of Hypnotists and our State Counseling Association both endorse our Uniform Title Amendment. Who wouldn't want a system where every citizen immediately knows their practitioner's exact training level? And who can argue that clarity isn't good for business? And Senator or Congressman, before we dive in, I'd love to host you at our next pro bono hypnosis demonstration. No strings attached. You'll see firsthand the care we provide. And then, after your speech, send a personalized handwritten note referencing one specific phrase they used, mirroring the reciprocity principle again. Over time, those small gestures become the bedrock of lasting legislative relationships. There's one truth. At the end of the day, hypnosis, all hypnosis, is self-hypnosis. We certified hypnotists are merely guides reminding our clients that they have the strength and that whatever their mind can conceive and believe, that they can achieve. So remember, wherever you are, whatever country, whatever state, whatever county, be proud of your credentials. Regardless of what level of training you've received, be proud the next time someone tries to insult you like they tried to insult me, when they themselves were practicing for many years with zero training, hiding behind their professional license and charging clients and the clients' insurances for hypnosis that they knew truly nothing about. So the next time someone says, "You're nothing but a hypnotist," take that as a compliment, because not everyone can be nothing but a hypnotist. Thank you for listening to this episode. You may want to continue your journey and research Charles Tebbet's, or perhaps my friend and fellow hypnotherapist, hypnotist, recently departed Ron Esslinger, founder of Healthy Visions in Tennessee. Perhaps you're in Kansas and you may want to look up Kelly Murphy Boulay. Or perhaps in Gig Harbor, Washington, and perhaps you'll find New Leaf Hypnosis with Lena Barker. Or perhaps another in Tennessee, David Ezel, or Tom Nicoli, or maybe even the great Gil Boyne. Of course, that was his last name, but he used it as two. Emil Quay, Milton Erickson, Naomi Morgan. Thank you. Please visit our website at www.trucetalk.com. You can find us on Instagram at Truce Talk Hypnosis, and of course on Amazon Music and on YouTube, hashtag Truce Talk. Be well, and just remember, every day, in every way, you're doing better and better.